And the floor is yours.
Mike.
I think everything should be working.
Okay.
Yes.
I haven't seen a microphone that looks like this. So, impressive. Let me just, first of all, thank you for that nice introduction, and also get some sense of who all of you are in the audience. How many students are here? A lot. Other educators who are part of the university? And what about community members, citizens? Well, thank you all very much for taking time to be here. I know this is a challenging time, and I appreciate it. What I'm going to do is give some remarks, and then I think we have time for question and answer. And forgive me, I've flown all night to be here, so I'm not as wide awake as I might normally be. But as you heard, my name is Jeanne Shaheen. I'm a senator from the state of New Hampshire, which is in New England, and I'm the top Democrat on the U.S. Foreign Relations Committee, a position that I just actually came to last year with the new Congress. We are here with a bipartisan delegation. We just met with your Prime Minister and with the Prime Minister of Greenland. All of the senators who are here are strongly supportive of the Danish-American relationship and the NATO alliance more broadly. I also co-chair, along with Tom Tillis, who was part of this delegation, a Republican from North Carolina, something in the Senate called the Senate NATO Observer Group. So we work very closely with NATO. We are focused on trying to ensure that NATO has support in the Senate in particular and in the United States Congress. My father was actually stationed in Greenland during World War II, and his service to protect the United States and to free Europe from Nazi Germany helped to shape my worldview, as so many of us who grew up at the end of World War II. So 80 years on, I think the NATO alliance is as vital as it ever is. In fact, last year we had one of the best years ever, I think, for NATO in terms of the commitment to spend 5% of GDP on defense and the joining of Sweden and Finland into NATO has really strengthened the alliance. And I'm here today because millions of Americans are deeply concerned about the recent rhetoric of the United States taking over Greenland, either buying it or using military force. And I think that rhetoric doesn't just undermine our relationship, both with Denmark and with Greenland, but also with the other NATO countries and with Europe. It undermines NATO at a time when our adversaries seek to benefit from division. So we're here to listen to you, to Danish and Greenlandic officials, to our partners, because we understand that trust is the foundation of security. The roots, as you all know probably better than I, reach back to 1792, when Denmark recognized the independence of the United States, one of the first European countries to do so. And it's grown stronger and closer over time. Americans and Danes both died fighting the Nazis in World War II. Denmark was a founding member of NATO, like the United States, and we were closely allied during the Cold War. And after the United States was attacked on 9/11, Denmark was among the first to invoke Article 5, and your soldiers fought and died along our soldiers in the United States, and you lost the same percentage, sadly, of casualties in that war, one of the highest percentages among NATO allies. Today, as you know, Denmark has boosted your defense spending to exceed the NATO target this year. And part of that is with new investments in drones and F-35 fighter jets, which we especially appreciate. In my state of New Hampshire, we make a lot of the parts for the F-35, so I'm very focused on that. You also make ice-capable ships that will be able to patrol the Arctic, something that we don't have in the United States. We're working on it, but We have a long way to go to catch up with you all. And Denmark has been one of the leading supporters of Ukraine's defense, which I very much appreciate. And like so many in Congress, I'm very concerned about the United States' failure to provide the support that Ukraine needs in order to win this war. Now, taken together, those commitments are exactly how alliances deter aggression and preserve peace. That's what makes NATO the strongest military alliance the world has ever seen. And it's not just defense and security. Danish Americans have made important contributions to the United States. We have a strong economic partnership that's made possible by shared values and mutual trust. In my home state of New Hampshire and across the United States, Danish companies support good jobs. From Novo Nordisk, we have a plant in New Hampshire, to Echo, shoe companies, also in New Hampshire. And of course, every American child was raised playing with Legos. As governor, I had the opportunity to lead a trade mission to Denmark and Germany back in 2000. At that time, the ambassador to Denmark was from New Hampshire. And we had an amazing experience. Did a lot of business, but also saw some of the really wonderful cultural places that you have in the country, and had a chance to meet so many people. Now, why would anyone undermine what has been such a positive relationship? Why would anyone chip away at security and prosperity on both sides of the Atlantic? As a Democrat from the United States, I can't give you a good answer. As your Prime Minister has said, an American military takeover of Greenland would threaten NATO as we know it. And even short of that, just the suggestion that the U.S. would take Greenland by force does real damage, not just to the relationship with Greenland, with Denmark, but to America's own national security. It erodes decades of hard-won confidence among allies, and it weakens the sense of security that comes with it. And that rhetoric plays right into the hands of our greatest adversaries, Russia and China. Vladimir Putin would welcome any move that fractures NATO or diverts attention and resources away from Ukraine. It's a point that your Prime Minister made again when we met with her this morning, and she's made very eloquently over a period of time. If we're serious about limiting Russia's influence in the Arctic and beyond, the most effective way to do that is by defeating Vladimir Putin in Ukraine. And that's precisely why the current debate over Greenland makes so little sense. As your Prime Minister and Greenlandic officials have said, if the United States wants to do certain things in Greenland, whether it's build more military bases, develop the critical minerals that are there, all we have to do is partner with you all. That's been made very clear. We've had a standing treaty with Greenland dating back to 1951. And as many of you know, the United States once operated 17 bases in Greenland. As I said, my father was stationed there in World War II. It was the United States that determined that we were going to close those 16 other bases. So whether it's U.S. bases to defend against Arctic threats or critical mineral deals, your leaders here in Denmark and in Greenland have made clear that they want to partner with us. So I think the threats are not only unnecessary, they are counterproductive. They risk undermining not just our relationship with all of you in Denmark, with the people of Greenland, but the broader NATO alliance in the process. I know there are real deep concerns here in Denmark and in Greenland. Yesterday we met with your foreign minister and with the foreign minister of Greenland. They talked in very personal terms about how, particularly people in Greenland who are thinking about, their foreign minister talked about children going to bed at night, worried about whether, when they got up in the morning, they were going to have been invaded by the United States. I can see why that feels personal to people. I believe saner heads will prevail. I believe that because we have institutions that are acting in the United States on both sides of the aisle in Congress. There's overwhelming support for our relationship, for NATO, and among the American people. I don't know if you all saw the recent poll that showed that 86% of Americans said they would oppose the use of military force in Greenland. And while the president doesn't listen much to Democrats in Congress, he does watch the polls in the United States. Last week, Senator Murkowski, who was part of this delegation, she's a senator from Alaska, and I introduced legislation that would prevent the administration from threatening NATO unity and ultimately block the U.S. from seizing Greenland. We did that because we understand how important this is, not just to the United States, but to the transatlantic alliance. The idea of a world where we have no alliances, where we have abrogated the international world order, is not safe. It's not safe for Americans. It's not safe for Danes. And the only people who benefit from that sort of world are the autocrats in Moscow and Beijing and other autocrats around the world. So to all of you who are here today, thank you for coming, especially the students in this room. Please continue to stay engaged. Don't give up on us. Don't give up on our alliances. Don't give up on the idea that we can work together. It's what got us here, and it's what we're going to need, all of us, if we're going to thrive in the years to come. So thank you. I look forward to your questions.
I will open up the floor to questions in one moment, but I do have one question I would like to see if you could elaborate a little bit on the point you make about the institutions that are now acting within the US system. Having seen now